Welcome to the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. I'm your host, Brian Briscoe with Streamline Capital Group and Tribe of Titans. So, really quickly, just want to talk about something that one of the coaching clients I have asked me if I ever doubted myself, and the answer was a really simple and emphatic yes, every single day is the answer, and it's one of those things where I don't know if I'll ever not sometimes doubt myself, if that makes sense. But I have a lot of ambitions and a lot of goals. I mean, I've said this to many different people that, I want to own 10,000 units by the end of this decade, so I've got, 6.5 years to get 10,000 units, which is like, I don't know, I haven't even done the math yet, like 1,300, 1,400 units per year. Gosh, it's probably a little bit higher than that too. My goodness. But regardless, I look at that and I'm thinking, man, every day I wonder, can I actually get that? I don't think this is whether or not I doubt myself, but there's a lot of times where I look at things and I think, oh my gosh, that looks really, really hard. Can I do that? And when I focus on the enormity of the task, a lot of times the answer comes back, yeah, exactly like I said, I'm doubtful. And I'm thinking, no, I can't. But when I break it down, when I start looking at, okay, this is where I want to get in 7 years, or whatever the answer is, this is where I want to get in 7 years. That's a long time. So I can break that down into something that's a lot smaller and say, okay, in order to get to this point, at the end of the decade, where do I have to be by the end of 2025? That's 2.5 years. No, 1.5 years. Who cares how long it is? But where do I have to be by the end of 2025? Right. And then I start sitting down and thinking, okay, if I have to be there by the end of 2025, and that's a pretty big number, maybe the answer is I've got to get to 2,000 by the end of 2025 to be to 10,000 by the end of 2030. Where do I have to be by the end of next year to get to that 3-year goal? Okay. And all of a sudden, things start looking a little bit more achievable. Okay. By the end of the year, I don't have to have thousands of units. I've started a new company. I've started to hire people. By the end of the year, if I've closed on 3 or 4 properties and I have the core of my team in place, I think I can get there. And then you back it up a little bit more and say, okay, well, if that's where I need to be a year from now, where do I need to be a quarter from now, 3 months from now? And that's how I set my goals. Okay. So when I look at where I want to be, when I look at that goal of 10,000 units by 2030, yeah, it looks insurmountable. Yeah, I doubt myself. All right. Yeah, I think, oh my goodness, can I do that? A lot of people said they're going to do that, but not very many people get there. But once again, I go through the process, breaking it down. Now, when I look at my quarter goals, so far I've hit my quarter goals so far this year. Okay. First quarter of 2023, whatever year we're in right now, I had 2 big goals for the quarter. All right. Goal number 1 was to start a coaching program. Check, did it. Goal number 2 was to hire my acquisitions manager. Check, did it. For the second quarter, I had 2 big goals. All right. One of them was determine the timeline and criteria for hiring my next person, who's going to be my director of investor relations. Well, last week I did, half a dozen interviews, probably more than that, 10 interviews of people who are really solid candidates. And this week I'll narrow that 10 down to 5. And we still have, 2.5 weeks, looking at the clock, 16 days left in the quarter for me to narrow that field of 5 down to 1 and ask them if they want the job. Right. So actually I'm ahead of what I wanted to be, or where I thought I needed to be, because by the end of this quarter, I just wanted to have a timeline and a job description. So when I start looking at things, those were my personal goals. Of course, I hire somebody at the end of the first quarter. Well, we gave him some quarterly goals that he needed to hit, and he hit 3 out of 3 of them already. So next week, we're going to sit down with our coach and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Okay. Once a quarter, we do this. We sit down and we think, where do we need to be 90 days from now to be able to hit our 1-year goal? All right. And once again, we formulate our 1-year goal from our 3-year goal. And we take our 3-year goal and formulate it from our 10-year goal or our end of the decade goal. And that way we're laser focused on the most important things that need to be done by the end of the quarter in order for us to get there. And those are the things we track. Those are the things that we talk about every week at our meeting. We call them our rocks. And every week we sit down and we talk about our progress on our rocks, and we help hold each other accountable. So do I doubt myself? Yes, I do. Every day there's one or two points where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I trying to do? But when I doubt myself, I always try to bring myself back down to, okay, what do I need to do this quarter? What are the most important things I need to get done? And make sure I focus on those things. Everything else, I mean, there are other things that are important, obviously, but I make sure I'm doing the most important things first and working towards my goal. And a lot of times that helps me to not doubt myself, to have a little bit more confidence, so to speak. And something else, a long time ago, I heard somebody give a speech and really thought it was very clever how they said it. Something we need to start doing is doubting our doubts and believing our beliefs. All right. I believe I can do it. And every time I get these doubts in my mind, I try to push them out. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with everybody. Don't know why, but thought I would, just throw it out there to the world, see if it sticks. But yeah, what do you do when you have doubts? And I think it's natural to doubt yourself. I think it's natural to do that. But I think what differentiates people at different levels of success is what they do when they feel those doubts. Okay. What do they do when these doubts come in? Are they paralyzed with fear? Do they sit down and do nothing? Do they, crawl into their shell, or do they doubt their doubts? Do they tell that little inner voice that's telling them they can't do it just to shut up, and they keep on going? All right. Anyway, just my random thoughts for today, but are you doubting your doubts, and are you believing your beliefs? And if so, you'll do amazing things. And we'll see you later.
Hey, if you like that episode, make sure to subscribe. But more importantly, if you haven't joined our multifamily educational community yet, which we call the Tribe of Titans, you are missing out. Get 30 days free by clicking the link in the description to this episode, or go to thetribeoftitans.info, and we'll see you there.